This is a mini lesson analysis on the Marth Ditto. We'll be critiquing the Black Marth. Obviously, by the way, your nairs could still be a bit faster, but it has gone better. But it could still be better than that. Also, the fair needed to be a little bit delayed there for higher percents. Yeah, so little nuance here is that for edge guarding down tilt, you want to down tilt as late as possible because when you crouch like this, your hurt box is extended. So when you do down tilt last second, you you down tilt at the last second, like after the up B curl is finished, and then you down tilt, and that's when down tilt is the most effective. Also, you needed to walk back like a few pixels too. So it's a lot more nuance to edge guarding Marth's up B like that. Also, strongly prefer that you don't just throw out haymakers, especially in disadvantage. Kind of like similar to your Peach lesson. It's no different here. I prefer that you don't throw out, just throw out, not flexible moves like dash attack, shield grab, forward smash, especially when you're at disadvantage. Where you have a frame disadvantage, reaction disadvantage. They'll be very, very slow. And odds are is that it probably wouldn't work. I feel like you had a better chance rather than fighting with a dare here. If you air dodge to the right, I feel like your odds of survival would have been better. Like maybe diagonal down right. Yeah, after doing this down tilt, always look out how they recover. If you see that they don't do the wall type bear and they're fast falling, then just down tilt again. But walking forward immediately was definitely a mistake. Also, there's no point in doing a falling fair if you're going to shield immediately afterwards. Just putting that out there. Should probably just wait one back instead. Definitely, he did not know that at that sometimes like down up B can just push you out, and you're not supposed to CC down tilt that. I think you're kind of just again. I think you're playing very preemptively with your positioning. I just think you're kind of throwing out too much way dash down tilts, dash attacks. Feel like there's never like a scout, like there's never like a poke going on, which is funny because like technically down throw. Okay, by the way, this up throw up tilt is never a true combo at any percent. You got a full off fair here, but which is funny because like I think you're not doing pokes even though you are throwing out down tilts, but it's mostly because like you're throwing out like I feel like you're throwing a lot of Brazen down tilts rather than like poking down tilts if that makes any sense. And that's because like I think like yeah, you're generally after like doing a down tilt, you always do something very lungy afterwards that kind of doesn't help. Yeah, actually that's why it feels very Brazen. It isn't necessarily because you're doing like wave dash or running down tilts, but it's mostly because you keep doing like a dash attack or grab, see after this down tilt, you always try to go for a grab. That's why I feel like you're very Brazen and see how you like try to go and grab there. And I feel like you would benefit a lot more from like, for example, throwing out like false positives. Also, you need to be quicker doing that way dash grab the ledge. Um, I feel like you would benefit a lot throwing out false positive, where, for example, you would throw out a down tilt, expect it to whiff, and then like assume there's no hit lag with the down tilt and then dash back. That's like an example of layering you know, your your neutral because like you're throwing out false positive, and from throwing out the false positives, like you're manipulating your opponent, rather than just like, hey, I hope my sword club hits. It's like kind of like a you know, I want your sword to be something that's like tricky rather than just like an an oath club, because it's not just a club. It can be quite deceptive. But yeah, obviously there's also like a lot of other um There's also a lot of optimizations you can make as well. But yeah, even though you are, by the way, layering in regards to this, like you see how you spend way too long in down tilt. Like even if you assume that's going to hit with that way dash down tilt, it still like was way too long. And I think you need to you mostly need to practice acting out down tilt as quick as possible, hit lag and no hit lag. That's going to be a key of like, layering your down tilt. See there, like you double down tilted. I think you would have benefited a lot if you down tilted once and then immediately dash back there. You would have also, if you fair from ledge there rather than wave dash down, would have gone an opening. Yeah, then trying to fight from a scrap again. So yeah, overall, like, there was a lot of optimizations to make there, but also consider, you know, layering your down tilt game by, expecting it to whiff and then immediately dashing back as soon as possible. That definitely needs to be optimized, and that will, layer your neutral game a bit.